But we're still in the south region of the country. Let's go over now to Delta State, where Governor Isoko has asked Deltans there to take advantage of the CBN Anchors Borrower Scheme, which is aimed at creating economic link between smallholder farmers and reputable large-scale processors with a view to increasing agricultural output and significantly improving the capacity utilization of the processors. He was speaking at the Isoko Economic and Investment Summit held in Delta State, where he stressed that the outcome of the summit shouldn't not be to put to waste, noting that this administration, or his administration rather, is committed to encouraging the speedy development of Delta State.
This is the first time that local government councils in the state will be organizing economic and investment summits of this scale, bringing together economic and development studies, institutions, private equity firms, political office holders, investors, and stakeholders. The summit, tagged Harnessing Isoko Economic Potential and Opportunities for Sustainable Development, is driven by the need to diversify the economy of the Isoko nation and the state. The keynote speaker is of the opinion that before investments can thrive, certain infrastructure must be put in place.
Isoko suffers from serious infrastructural deficiency, especially power. How can we stop this vicious circle of poverty and underdevelopment?
Other speakers at the summit are hopeful that through this medium, investors will work with the people to create value in areas of comparative advantage, particularly in agriculture and agro-business.
Acreage of farmland cultivated is limited, and the yield, when you compare that to the effort, is very low. Therefore, one of the primary things we need to do is to transform the agricultural sector.
What we see in Olobiri today is a community that is denuded, devastated, abandoned. As well number one, the yield from well number one has declined. The natives are left in squalor and condemned to stew in self-pity and dash hope. We don't want to learn from our own experience, and I'm sure that's why the two chairmen decided to put this together.
Special guest of honor and the governor of Delta State, Dr. Isoko, decried the low patronage of the Central Bank of Nigeria's Anchor Borrowers Program and called on Deltans to form cooperative societies to enable them have access to funds.
This possibility was started just for us. Then because we made a request, it has included cassava now. Initially it included oil palm, but because the gestation period is more than the usual 1 year to 18 months. We are trying to find a way now, which we are working with Central Bank.
The general consensus here is that with the government creating an enabling environment, a bottom-up approach must be adopted to attract both local and foreign investors to the land and Delta State, increasing the level of economic investment activity that will create employment and fast-track socio-economic development.
It's estimated that over 25 million sub-Saharan Africa's population are living with HIV, with adolescent girls and young women accounting for about 25% of new infections, according to the 2016 statistics from UNAIDS. In Taraba State, northeast Nigeria, out of over 55,000 persons tested for HIV, and about 10.5% have since tested positive, and only 32,000 have access to medical treatment. However, the state government, through the activities of its agencies, have been able to reduce these figures significantly to about 2%. This was revealed to journalists in Jalingo, the Taraba state capital, by the Director General of the Taraba Agency for the Control of AIDS.
According to the National Agency for the Control of AIDS, Nigeria has the second largest population of people living with HIV in the world. Taraba State, northeast Nigeria, has the second highest HIV prevalence rate in Nigeria. The Taraba State Agency for the Control of AIDS takes some journalists around specialist hospitals and HIV centers in Jalingo, the state capital. The facility was set up to help lower the number of infections.
From 2015 to February this year, we had to go across the state for HIV testing and counseling campaigns, and we have tested over 55,000. And as you are aware, the last official prevalence rate of Taraba State is 10.5. But from what we have seen, from the various activities we have conducted, what we are seeing is less than 10%.
It seems not enough is being done, especially in the area of equipment. Coordinator of the HIV office at the Federal Medical Center appeals to the government to make the facilities more efficient.
Currently, as it is, Abraham, I think only one of them is working, the CD4 count, and then the PCR machine is the only one in the whole of this state, and even Adamawa and Northeast. We have one in Borno, but you see, you know how Borno is very far. But we just got some reagents recently, and it was out for almost 6 months. So you see, it's a very big problem for us. You can imagine only one machine and then down for 6 months.
It was the American government that was supporting Taraba and Abia. But when they left, the government of Nigeria took over the funding of the two states, and is solely funded by the federal government of Nigeria. Those are the only two states that we don't have any support. It's only federal government of Nigeria that is supporting.
Experts believe adequate provision of healthcare facilities for those currently infected, as well as the continuous awareness of the public on HIV and AIDS education, will help lower the risk of infection.
A situation that calls for urgent attention there in Taraba State. Now, the Joint Admissions and Matriculation Board, JAMB, has introduced new rules and guidelines that may eliminate fraudulent practices in the system ahead of the 2017 Unified Tertiary Matriculation Examination, known as the UTME. The JAMB Registrar, Professor Ishak Oloyede, revealed this in Kaduna State at a strategic planning retreat on monitoring and supervision of this year's UTME, organized for concerned individuals that will be taking part in the examination. He explains that major players with the requisite integrity, intelligence, and appropriate knowledge of the assessment will be engaged in its supervision for this year. And with that, we draw the curtain on this edition of News Across Nigeria. Many thanks for being a part of it. I'm Ayotunde Balu. Bye-bye now.